This is our head. And somewhere in there, you have the brain. And then you have here the pituitary, and somewhere here, you have the pineal gland. They tell us that this pineal gland is formed like an eye, like an atrophied eye, that it was an eye sometime. But if it was really an atrophied eye, then why hide it under the brain if it was supposed to see light? But we know that as an eye, it's very sensitive to light, because when light hits it, it can't hit it directly, of course. Somehow it gets the information about light, then it produces certain things, chemicals in your body, and when there is no light, it produces others. So the moment the light goes off, it starts producing things like, for example, melatonin, and it puts you to sleep. But if this was the main reason for this, then the logical place for it would be somewhere out there. If it's an organ that senses light, the logical place for it would be somewhere where it can get the light. Or why would we need it to begin with? Because the eyes can do it for us. I mean, the eyes can sense the light and send the information to the brain. Why have something that looks like an eye that gets information from outside, but at the same time is pointing downwards under the brain? It must be when we speak of its relationship to light. Now we are speaking about light being created in our system. We create our light. So it is sensitive. It could be sensitive to something there, but it is also related to some inner light. You know, this point in the ear, when you have your ear like that, in Chinese medicine, you imagine the ear like this to be like an inverted fetus, with the eyes here, the hands here, you see, and the legs here. It's like that. And the points here in treatment, they reflect every organ in your body. So your whole body is present in your ear like that. Now, in ancient times, there was nothing called jewelry. You wear jewelry here, you wear jewelry there. No. At the time when the door was open, you used things on your body for certain interactions with the forces of nature. So this point here in Chinese acupuncture is called the point of inner light. And if you put some crystals or diamonds here, that means you activate through resonance, you enter into resonance with your inner light. So your inner vision gets activated. And when they had the priestesses, the young priestesses in the temples, one of the way to activate their inner vision was to put any type of crystal or diamond here, depending on what you wanted to do, you see. Today, you find people piercing everywhere. Now that's very, very dangerous. You could completely disrupt the functioning of your physical organs by piercing at this point or at that point or this point. They don't know that every point in the body is related to a certain organ, and you don't know the point you are piercing with what is it related, what are you really piercing, and what metal are you putting there, and what thing, something might be good in one place and not in the other, and all that. So it's very, very dangerous. We have seen, there is evidence that the ancient Egyptians did some piercing and things, and the Sumerians did it, or we have evidence of tattoos in ancient times and all that, but they chose the right symbol, the right shape on the right spot and all that. It wasn't just playing around. So if this is inner vision, why here? Why looking here? It must have a link here and something here. Ear spine goes down here, but why here? Is it looking at something there? The heart is the place where you have the most blood in your body. So it's the center of the fiery element. And fire produces light. So the mystical connection of light of the heart, perceived by the pineal gland, illumination, and then what's perceived out here with the visual center. So this light is in resonance with this center. So your inner light is here, and it is on a harmonic, a higher harmonic to the actual light you perceive in colors. That's why in any mystical experience, the light effect, I mean, if you do some meditation or do some prayer or something, sometimes you can see that there's some slightly more light in your vision. So there's a link between the centers here, pituitary, pineal, heart, and the brain then. Now, look at it that way. In order that you perceive your reality, you must have working senses. That means your body must function before you can perceive a reality. So what runs your body? Is it within your perceived reality or from outside? I mean, your heartbeat, your lung, all the rhythms of your body, the laws that govern life, the rules that govern life, are not coming from your perceived reality. They're coming from the total reality. The whole universe is working through you in there, and then you become alive, and then you make your perceived reality. But what really work, all those rhythms are methods of communication. Remember, we said rhythm are communications. So you're communicating with the whole universe. Your life is through the life of the universe.
There's a huge story that hasn't been told yet to mankind, and we deserve to get this story out to everybody. A lot of people on this planet are, unfortunately, because they've been victims of the religious system, are waiting to die so that they can live. And that's a big problem that we have. What DNA is and how it operates, that's the big secret here, because once you understand that, then you're going to open yourself up to understanding how to reprogram yourself. 432 hertz and 528 hertz. It's been scientifically proven will literally reprogram your DNA. It's an elevation of consciousness. You've gone from the primordial level of consciousness, the physical meat mode level, to a 5D ascension level of consciousness. Your body is still in the third dimension, but you're thinking from a much higher dimension, a much higher level. DNA is a storage medium. In other words, it's a hard drive. This is peer-reviewed science, by the way, guys. 1 gram of DNA, which is enough to put a little tiny drop on the tip of your finger, can store 700 terabytes of data. Zeros and ones that make your phone work and make your computer work. Zeros and one bits of data, zeros and ones, can be stored on DNA. We're walking USB drives. Literally, inside of your body right now, you can store 13.5 billion years of data. Ironically, that's how old the universe is. You literally have all the information stored in your body from the beginning of time until this very moment, inside of you. So when people say the universe is in you, it's not just a figure of speech. Like, the universe is really in you. Everything that was here from the beginning is here right now. Nothing's been added, nothing's been removed due to the law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be destroyed, it's going to be transformed. You're just here right now in this particular form at this particular moment, but all the information in your DNA will go back, if you had the capability of decoding it, will allow you to find this out. This is why, and some of you here know that I talk a lot about the Anunnaki, these Atlantean beings that came here in the distant past and genetically modified the existing hominid. They didn't create people, they modified people. If you really analyze the text, and I'm not just talking about Sumerian text, you have to go into several different versions of text, the Enumerated List and Seven Tablets of Creation, the Atra-Asis epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh, you go into the Emerald Tablets, you discover that there was already a hominid here and it was genetically modified. That was our cousin before Homo sapiens existed. What did they do to us to make us into this slave race to do the work for them? They disconnected our DNA. That's what you have called now junk DNA. It's not junk, guys. It's unplugged DNA. Why did they unplug it? Because our cousins, unlike you've been taught, were way smarter than us. I'm not talking technologically smarter. I'm talking about spiritually smarter. More in tune with nature, more in tune with the universe, more in tune with the planet itself, the Schumann resonant frequency of the earth. They had bigger brains, proven because we found the skulls all over the planet. They had, probably because of bigger brains, most likely had bigger pineal glands, which is your spiritual antenna. All humans right now, we have billions of magnetite crystals in our brains. We don't even use them. They probably had access to their magnetite crystals, which is what turtles use to navigate the oceans to come back to where they're going to lay their eggs. And birds, they flock to the south in the winter and so forth, all using the magnetic field. Well, we have the same capability, but right now we've been disconnected from using that. If a tsunami comes inland, before it even hits, all the wild animals run to the mountains and the hills. You never see wild animals getting swept away by a tsunami. We've been disconnected. You know, our DNA has been disconnected. Our consciousness has been reduced. They've already scientifically proven and found out that a worship gene was embedded into the human genome. And they don't know who did it, but they can tell you that it was around 200,000 years ago. The same time that they discovered that chromosome number 2 in the human body was taken out, fused together, and 2 telomere caps were put on each end. Again, this is something done in a laboratory, admitted by mainstream scientists, but they can't figure out who did it. They can only tell you when. Oh, about 200,000 years ago. But what do the tablets say? 200,000 years ago is when they first genetically modified the existing hominid on this planet. And these tablets predate any Zecharia Sitchin's translations. Zecharia Sitchin, I want to clear this up real quick before I even proceed, never translated any Sumerian tablets. That's a hoax. He's one of the greatest researchers in the history of this planet, because what he did was he took pre-existing translated information and he painted a picture for us based off of the translations that already existed, and he wrote books about it. He never translated the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets were translated, in some cases, 100 years before he was even born. This is back in the 1700s and 1800s that the Sumerian tablets, the ones that have the information about these beings coming here and so forth and genetic